It might surprise you to know, dear viewer, that I've always been an optimist at heart. If the last few years have been rough for the entertainment industry, every year I wind up thinking that things are going to start looking up. Well, call me crazy, but I think that this might actually be the year. I am worn out on the nihilistic, everything and everyone sucks, doom and gloom perpetuating film and TV these days. I love Arcane as much as the next person, but you can only watch it and other things like it so many times before you start losing faith in humanity. The world seriously needs a return to stories with a hopeful message. Stories that inspire us to be better people and leave us with the impression that we're not totally doomed beyond repair. We need a Hail Mary.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Okay, but questionable puns aside, I can't tell you how excited I was to watch this thing. As somebody who read the book in preparation for the movie and absolutely fell in love with it, I was equal parts hopeful and nervous for the March 20th release. All the signs pointed in the right direction, but would they be able to stick the landing?
Amazing.
Thank goodness the answer is yes. This movie nails so much that deserves to be talked about at length, but since I don't want to ruin it for people who haven't read the book, I'm gonna keep it light on details today. Here's a quick overview to give you context. Planet Earth is in bad shape as a horde of microscopic aliens called astrophage are threatening to eat up the sun's energy as they've done to so many other stars in the universe. In order to solve the problem, the world delegates convene and decide on sending a suicide mission, a Hail Mary if you will, to find out why a lone star 11.5 light years away is immune to the astrophage so they can send the data back to Earth, who will then find a solution based on that information. Our leading man, a middle school science teacher named Ryland Grace, winds up being chosen for the team. The complication? He doesn't have any idea how or why he got there, and the rest of his crew are dead. Now it's solely up to him to get the mission done, or so he believes. He discovers an alien spacecraft hovering around the same star and realizes that it's trying to make contact with him. Through a combination of trial and error and extraordinarily creative thinking, Grace learns to communicate with the sole inhabitant of the other ship. This is Rocky, so named by Grace because he resembles a faceless crab made out of stone. It turns out that Rocky is there for the exact reason Grace is, so the two agree to work together to figure out how to beat the astrophage before going separate ways to save their respective worlds. As the two work, they learn just as much about each other as they do about the astrophage, and they form a close, sincere, often humorous friendship that is just an absolute joy to watch. Obstacles and complications abound, but between them they have the brainpower to sort it out. Only, the choices get more and more dire, and they have to start making hard decisions. Will Grace and Rocky ultimately choose loyalty to their mission, or to their partnership? I'll cap it off here because otherwise I'll never shut up. As for the ending though, I guarantee it won't leave you wanting. Like I say, Project Hail Mary has mounds to gush over. I think the biggest thing for me personally is that it stays faithful to the source material. Andy Weir wrote a clever, heartwarming book that isn't afraid to delve into some hard science, but also knows when to pull back and let you absorb the information you're getting. Shocker shocker, when you stick to that blueprint, it does you good. I mean, it's basically a meme at this point that the book is always better, so believe me if you're not a major reader when I tell you how refreshing this really is. The chemistry between the two leads is immaculate. Ryan Gosling, per the norm, does an excellent job acting out a version of Ryland Grace that maintains the enthusiastic, curious energy of the novel's counterpart. Through a combination of puppeteering and top-notch writing, the production team imbued Rocky with an incredible amount of personality. He comes across as a trusting and kind, person? The two play off of each other well, which is extra impressive considering how most of it was Ryan Gosling giving one half of a conversation to an inanimate prop. And of course, the other humans in the cast pull their own weight. Probably the main reason this movie feels so real is that in a lot of ways it is. Apart from using an actual puppet for Rocky instead of creating yet another CGI abomination, it was almost entirely shot on sets that didn't use blue and green screens. Ryan Gosling had his daughters reading Rocky's lines through a hidden earpiece so it would feel more like a real conversation. The amount of love and care that was put into this production astounds me. True story. Gosling ad-libbed the joke about Meryl Streep being able to do anything on the first take, and then when they redid the scene, they got Streep to record that line and didn't tell Gosling until they filmed it. His reaction to hearing her voice there is genuine. Also, it's 100% clean. Not that the book was especially filthy, although there were certain scenes nixed, but this is one you can take your kids to without an ounce of worry in the world. And you know what? Good. One of Hollywood's worst tendencies is to cram shock value material into movies where it doesn't belong instead of focusing on telling a good story. Not so here, my friends. This is a film that stands on its own two legs. I know this isn't a major sticking point for a majority of people, but I happen to be a film score nerd, and Project Hail Mary earns big points in my book for that one. It's reminiscent of Hans Zimmer scores, in my opinion, specifically Interstellar, which I doubt is incidental. The lighting and cinematography are equally as awesome. This movie looks and sounds like it could actually take place in outer space while still allowing you to see and hear the action. Which, now that I think about it, makes it unique not just among space films, but all films released in the last decade or so. Seriously, seriously, how hard is it to have light in a scene? Audiences can suspend their disbelief if you use dark blue filters to indicate darkness, I promise. Project Hail Mary has a highly cinematic feel with sweeping visuals and clever shots placed just where they ought to be, punctuating the scenes and immersing you fully in the world of the narrative. If I really had to nitpick, I'd say that maybe the film version of Strat was too empathetic in contrast to the hardline book character. I'm not sure whether that was the call of Sandra Hüller or somebody above her. She portrayed that attitude well, to be sure. I just think the novel's edition of her personality worked better for the story. On top of that, the science wasn't always crystal clear. The book has extensive sections dedicated to explaining how Rocky's biology and planet, the astrophage, xenonite, and other fictional elements of the story operate. I understand that some of the nitty-gritty details had to be left on the cutting room floor, but maybe Lord and Miller could have greenlit a few more additional passages. All told, however, these are definitely minor things. You know what's a major thing? Possibly the most major thing of the movie? Optimism. There is a light at the end of the tunnel for the Hail Mary. It was only sent out in the first place because humanity figured that it had a chance. Even when all the odds are stacked overwhelmingly against them, Grace and Rocky keep up hope and help each other to keep up hope. It's precisely as Keats said and Nolan repeated some years down the line. Do not go gentle into that good night. Well, ain't nobody going quietly here. I wish I had thought to save the post at the time, but I read something online saying that this is the kind of movie that inspires a kid to get into science, and that it wouldn't be shocking if a Nobel Prize winner 20 years from now thanked this movie in their speech. And you know what? That's absolutely correct. The main reason Ryan Gosling signed on to this project in the first place, optioning to do the movie back before the book was even published, is because it offered an alternative to the much easier bleakness that we tend to fall into as of recent years. This more positive outlook shines through in every aspect of the movie, from the writing and execution of the film itself to the effort that went into it behind the scenes. It's a labor of love for those involved, and wow has it paid off big time. I don't know what's left to say except that Project Hail Mary gets a big thumbs up from me. Point of all this being, we all know Jeopardy saw the real Hail Mary.